gents. This is just the video that I mentioned on the Discord forum that I would throw together real quick. Basically just showing how to use the route system and the auto turn to target, or just the turn to target, or the booby switch as I referred to it. This is just a real quick setup just to show you guys basically how it can be used and how generally I use it. So let's get started. First thing you'll see here is in the Abris, you're at the main menu screen. The first thing you want to do is go to Options, then Setup, and then highlight Units. You can use the up and down arrows to sort of scroll through. So you're going to select Units. Okay. And that's going to bring you to this screen. You see latitude and longitude. You're just literally going to press change, and now it's changing it to the decimal systems that we use. So you would scroll down and just hit change, and that's good to go. So we'll just back to the menu and back at the main map. So basically I have set up a standard flight plan that we might get in a mission, right? So I happen to know that the enemy are over here at this waypoint, waypoint 6. And this is the flight plan I created in the mission editor. And that's something we would see in most missions. You know, we usually have some sort of waypoints that we have to get to. But on occasion we haven't. So anyway, so there's our flight plan. So now if we look here at the PVI 800, we'll see that it's in the waypoint mode, and its waypoints will correspond to these waypoints. Waypoint 1 is always, for some reason with the Abris, it defaults to always where you're starting from. So while you're on the ground at the airfield, that's always going to be waypoint 1, and then waypoint 2 and so on would follow suit. So the PVI 800 also being on waypoint 1 is basically going to take us to where we're already at, which is not what we want. So the best way to get around that is if you go to navigation and then you hit this SUSP or SUSP, you can cycle through the different waypoints in the Abris. So now you see to waypoint 2, there's a little green line here, and that tells you that that's the next waypoint that you're heading to. We would just need to select waypoint 2 on the PVI 800, and now it and the Abris will be in alignment for getting us there. And you'll also see that the caret on our heading tape is also lined up perfectly. Now, the reason why they need to be synced up like that, most people think that there's a shift so that waypoint 1 on the PVI 800 is actually waypoint 2, so on and so forth. And again, that's because the Abris, no matter what you do, when you're creating a flight plan in the Abris, it will always put waypoint 1 as where you are starting from. There's just no way around it. It just does it by default, but that would be for another tutorial video on how to work with the Abris in depth. But needless to say, they are lined up. Waypoint 1 on here would actually be waypoint 1 on here. Waypoint 2 on here would be waypoint 2 here, so on and so forth. So remember, this is just informational. This will not control any systems in the aircraft. This will just give you information. This, the PVI 800, is all about navigation. So navigation, information. Navigation, information. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, let's set up a navigation target. Okay, and the way we're going to do that is, first and foremost, we're just going to, oops, wrong way. We're just going to put this in the sort of edit mode. Okay, and we're going to go here on the Abris, go to our map screen, and you'll see this ERBL. Click on ERBL, and what it'll do is it'll bring up the screen. You'll see by using the right rotating knob, there's a little crosshairs that you can move, okay? And so to move them left to right, you would just do that. You would right click on the button again, and now you can move them up or down. So let's say we want to set a navigation target to be there. We could drop a marker there, and as you see it gives us our lat long information. That's going to come in handy. Because now what we're going to do, now that the PVI 800 is in edit mode, we're going to select nav target number 1, and now we're going to enter this information. It's 271199, so we would enter 027119. It won't use the last digit here. And the next group of numbers is 0563162, so we'll hit 0056316. Right? Right. And then you would just hit enter. And the operations mode, I should say. Yeah, just I let go of the shift key so you couldn't hear me probably. I said we just right clicked back into the operations mode. So now we'll go back to waypoint 2. It's in there. Now it's going to line us up to here. We're going to go back to our nav screen and hit susp again. It's already on set for waypoint 2, and we are marked. So let's get to flying. So now you see I'm flying. I'm heading to waypoint 2. So if you want to engage the route mode, what you first have to do is disable the flight director and then hit the R key. So the R key will engage and disengage the route mode. So hitting it once will engage it, hitting it again will disengage it. So that's what I'm going to do. First, disengage flight director and then engage route mode. So now flight director has been disengaged. And now the route mode has been engaged as indicated up top here. So at this point, I am flying completely hands off. I do not have my hands on the stick. I do not have my hands on the collective. I do not have my feet on the rudder. I am literally just sitting at my desk, one hand on the mouse, the other hand holding the shift key so you guys can hear me. So that's what route mode will do. It will follow, it will get you to the waypoints based off of the PVI 800's lat long information. The other thing to note is there's a switch here that says DT and DH. I always keep it in DH, which is the up position, because that's direct heading. DT would be direct track, which would follow the blue lines in between waypoints. I don't find that to be something that I use very often. Next thing, as you can tell, we reached waypoint 2, and now the helicopter is automatically taking us to waypoint 3. Again, route mode will do that. It will follow the series of waypoints. As you can see, this moved up to 3, and we are now heading to waypoint 3. And again, I'm not touching the aircraft. I wish I had a camera I could show you guys. I'm literally just hands-free at this point. So let's just say we wanted to investigate that navigation target we set up a moment ago. It's a real simple process. All we do is select navigation target, select the number of navigation target. In our case, we only set up 1, so it would be navigation target 1. And the helicopter will automatically fly to that navigation target without me touching any of the controls. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. and as you see, the helicopter is flying herself. Navigation targets are usually indicated by this circle with the dot in the center on your heading tape. So just something to be aware of. It doesn't look like the standard carrot that you usually see. But the helicopter's flying herself. She will try to maintain speed and altitude and will line herself up to get to the navigation target. And as you can see here, navigation target 1 lights up here, the flashing blue box, and now we are headed straight for it. So, I mean, that's pretty much the route mode. Oh yeah, the other thing, really cool thing, is that with a navigation target, it'll also give you distance to target. So that's cool, a little on-screen indicator. So let's say you wanted to stay just outside of a known range of, say, a Shilka or something like that. You could literally set your navigation target to right outside its firing range. And if you're within range of your Vickers, you don't even have to worry about taking any heat. But anyway, so that's the route mode. The key thing, like I said, is keep it on direct heading, not direct track. And to understand that it's tied into your PVI 800, not your ABRIS. Again, your ABRIS is just going to give you information. PVI 800 is what you're using to actually navigate the bird. So I'm just going to, actually, just to show you, give you another example, I'm just going to switch it back to waypoint, but this time I'm going to switch it back and we're going to go to waypoint 4. And I'll show you how the bird reacts to that. Again, totally hands-free, drinking a cup of coffee. I'm not even worrying about it. The helicopter is doing it all on her own. And I looked into the history, and the reason why they did that is as a single-seat attack helicopter, they figured you would create your flight plan, upload the data to the helicopter, and as the pilot is en route to the target area or target zone, the helicopter will do the flying while the pilot is preparing the weapons systems and all that stuff. So I thought it was pretty cool. So yeah, so now I am heading to waypoint 4, and then that's the route mode. Like I said, R key will engage route mode, and R key again will disengage it. The one thing to remember is to make sure you turn off the flight director, because then both systems tend to not like working with each other too well, so it gets a little eh. So yeah, okay, next up I will show the auto turn to target. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, gentlemen, so here's the second part. This is going to cover just the auto turn to target, or the TOT or TTT switch, as I like to refer to it, the booby switch. Anyway, so just to get you up to speed, I've gone to waypoint 6, and I stopped just outside of waypoint 6. As you can see here, I'm 6.2 clicks away from waypoint 6. I happen to know that there's a column of infantry fighting vehicles over here. Not too worried about them. I have them set to be pretty dumb. They won't fire back because I just wanted to do this for demonstration purposes. So anyway, up to speed. Just to let you know, I have set up a hover. I'm using the auto hover feature, which is another nice feature. And you can tell by the auto hover indicator. So I'm in this hover, and now I'm going to turn on my Schwal. Schwal is on, and now I'm going to start scanning for the targets. Okay, so clearly I found the targets, but they are not off my nose. When looking at the Schwal, this caret will indicate the direction that the Schwal is looking relative to the center line of the nose of your aircraft. And this is the vertical up and down orientation of the Schwal. So you can also see here where I'm pointing it in relation to my aircraft. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lock this target. And as you see, I've got the target locked. I've got my laser ranging on. It's 6.4 clicks away. Okay. Now, the issue with this is that we're sort of in a bad spot for firing. So this is where the auto turn feature comes into play. So let me select my Vickers and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, I've got my Vickers selected. As you can see, the target is definitely not off of our nose. She's not off our front. Now, the way the targeting system works with the Schwal is there's basically a cone in front that it's considered sort of like your safe firing zone. It's where if you had this set for auto, it would give you the clearance to release the weapons or not. So in this case, obviously right now, we're outside of that zone, so it's not gonna work. I always just keep it up in manual anyway. But, all right, so auto turn to target. The auto turn is here, this switch, so that's the one you're gonna hit. Again, I have it key bound to my HOTUS, so you guys can set it up however you would prefer. But once I click that switch, what you're gonna see happen is the shark will auto orient so that that target lock is within that cone for clearance of firing. So it will allow the release of weapons. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and you'll see, what you'll see is this will start to move more towards the center line, and you'll also see that the helicopter will rotate herself. I'm not gonna have any input on any of the controls. As you see, she's auto-orienting. You can see it down here, and you can see it up here. Again, it's not going to have the nose pointing 100%. What it's trying to do is get you in that cone where the system will allow you to release the weapons. Again, you can override that by using the manual mode, but you know, it's still a good idea. So anyway, so now that I've used the auto turn, let's fire a shot. The missile is away. And good kill. So basically where that comes in handy is, like I said, I could scan. Now if I leave this on, as I scan through these this column, the helicopter will automatically turn slightly to the left in order to keep this as centered as possible. So yeah, so now you see how it tries to follow the Schwal basically. Basically the auto turn feature will keep the Schwal pointed in the general cone that it considers acceptable for weapons release. You guys have probably seen Maxito, Kauser, and I on some of those missions where we have to hold in position and let, you know, Marines or Navy do their thing. And we'll usually sit in a hover, and I'll start scanning for targets, and I usually have the auto turn feature on. So this way, once I find something and get it locked up, my bird's automatically going to be facing in the right way so that she'll take the shot. So that's the auto turn feature. It's really cool because you can also slave the Schwal to your helmet mounted sight. I'll demonstrate that, and the helicopter will turn to continuously follow the Schwal. So I've got my helmet mounted sight selected. If I wanted to see if there's anything interesting, let's say I wanted to look over here, I could hold the Schwal control button. Again, I have it mapped to my HOTUS, and you'll see the helicopter will automatically try to keep the Schwal centered. So again, wherever you have the Schwal pointing, or if you have something locked up, the auto turn will adjust accordingly. And there you go, that's the auto turn feature. It's this right here. If you were planning on using it, I would definitely map it to either your throttle or your flight stick. I have mine set up that way. It's just real easy so that you can use it in a sort of fluid situation where there's a lot going on. So yeah, there you go. Hope it was helpful, guys. Later.